Hello, everyone. Yes, I know it's been too long since my last video. It's just one of those things, things get away from us and we have too much going on. But I thought I'll record a quick video to talk about some of the exciting developments that are going on. Obviously, you've all seen the number of FIDs happening in the States. I expect a bit of a rush towards in the second half of this year. We've seen a number of projects already get across the line. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see at least three more projects. I mean, Commonwealth, Delphine, I think CP2 is already across the line or will be if it hasn't. And hopefully even Texas LNG. So these guys there's going to be a lot more new projects coming on in the States, or at least starting to begin construction. They're going to enter an environment where costs are relatively high. The tariff uncertainty continues. By supposedly by next week we're supposed to have 90 trade deals. Well, I believe when I see it. So there's a lot of uncertainty, and I just hats off to anybody that can get to FID in this environment because these companies will have to absorb all the overruns, any cost increases, especially tariff increases, because the EPC contractor is just going to pass on that risk to the companies. So if you can get across the line here, great. That means you have managed to negotiate a really good EPC price. You've managed to get customers on board, hopefully with a bit of a flexibility in their pricing as well. So they'll take more, share some of the pain if the prices do go up or the tariff costs go up. And also that you have managed to get everything else going. Financing in this high interest environment is also a challenge. So good for you. I think, but we shall see a bit of a rush right now. What happens after that? I think it's going to be a bit of a slowdown. The projects that are going to get to FID are going to get to FID in the next 6 months. After that, I don't see that much in the pipeline. Projects like Gulfstream are doing very well. My own project, which is we are now looking to start the application phase of FERC in the next few weeks. We've done all the pre-filing work, and so we commend the government has really been very supportive of our project. Funding has not been that easy, though. I must say, it's just getting people across the line. Everybody looks at all the uncertainties, and there's no shortage of uncertainties. And uncertainties just give investors a reason to sit on their hands. So I think the people that are going to step up to the plate and take on some of the uncertainties will be the ones that will be rewarded at the end. Having said that, I don't blame them. There's a lot of things that would be hard to decide to understand. We have things like the European mandate to stop importing of Russian gas. If that sticks, that's really a boom for LNG exporters around the world. If things get flexible, well, then Europeans waver on that. We don't know what's going to happen. The fact is that the Ukraine war is now entering year 4, and there's no resolution in sight. So that quick and dirty war is not happening anytime quickly. And I think it'll be prudent to imagine that the war will go on for a long, long time. And if it does, well, then Russia is not going to get European markets back anytime soon. And I think that we're just going to be in a position where the Europeans will have to look at other options. It's obviously a very hot summer in Europe right now. I actually read yesterday that some of the nuclear power stations are shutting down or they can't operate because it's almost too hot for the cooling waters. So gas is going to be something of high demand coming up, air conditioning, electricity, all that good stuff. And it remains to be seen whether some of the renewables, the massive expense the Europeans done for their renewable sector is going to really cover them in time of extreme climate change or extreme climate, whether it's change or not, it's hard to say. So I think that for American LNG, it's great. We're seeing some FIDs happening, as I said. Great to see production finally happening out of Canada. The first cargo was loaded this week. It's been a long time coming. Is that going to lead to more projects? I think it will lead to a bit more of an understanding. I think all the anti-development folks have a lot to answer for. They have been protesting against Canada's LNG plans for the last 20 years, and I don't think they have much to show for it. And at the end of the day, I think they've just done a disservice to the Canadian people and the Canadian government and the Canadian energy sector because they have just sat on their horses and said, no, we're not going to build pipelines, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. In the end, no one benefits. I think it's great to see that all the projects that are being proposed in Western Canada today seem to have collaborations with the native peoples. And I think that once the native people realize that they have a lot more to gain by getting on the LNG wagon than trying to protest against it, then I think that the tide will turn and it'll be very hard for some of the anti-development folks to make a case that they're protecting the Indigenous people when the Indigenous people themselves may want these projects to go ahead. So I'd see good things for Canada. I think it's still a high cost environment. The pipelines still have to get built. The same challenges we have in places like Alaska as well, of course, which I won't talk about. Um, Another thing that's really interesting that I noticed the other day, someone mentioned that Qatar has not signed any long term deals in 2025. I just checked on that, and that seems to be the case. That is mind boggling to me. Qatar is in a position where they are going to increase the capacity to 135, 136 million tons from 77. Lots of new capacity coming online. And of course, they also have the 50% share of the Golden Pass project, which is supposed to come online this year in the next few months. And they seem to be stalling in signing new contracts. It could be a strategy. I don't know. Qatar obviously has sold some of the equity in these projects to very large companies, the Shells, the Exxons, the Totals of the world. In return, those companies have to do some of the marketing. But at the end of the day, Qatar likes to control the value chain. And the fact that they're not able to or wanting to sign long term deals in the last 6 months when everybody else is signing lots of deals should be a cause of worry, or if not, at least a bit more trying to dig deeper in this. Why is that the case? Now, Qatar has always been traditionally been very inflexible in its terms, demanding very long term contracts, big volumes, total take or pay, no flexibility in destination, etc., etc. And I, talking to the market that I've been talking to, they seem to think that that position is still continuing today. But the world has changed. The Americans are out there offering any deal they can, very flexible terms in terms of take or pay and destination clauses. Even the UAE guys are saying, "Hey, we'll give you the better deal than the Qataris will." So I think the Qatar is probably having to wonder whether they're sticking to their old rules makes a lot of sense in today's environment. I look at a position of Pakistan. I don't know if you guys have been following, but it's been quite hot in Pakistan. But this summer, because of so much solar that they have put into solar rooftops, the gas demand is actually less than they expected. And the gas demand is resulting in a glut of LNG, mostly from Qatar. And that's actually causing domestic production to shut in, which is not what you want. You always want to produce domestic production because it's cheaper than importing LNG. So Pakistan is now trying to offload. I have heard 7 cargoes that they've already contracted with Qatar to give it to sell it to somebody else, and no one seems to want them. So I would think it's not that easy to offload Qatari cargoes. Those Qatari cargoes probably come with a lot of constraints, and Qatar is probably demanding a piece of the action if they manage to resell those cargoes, and that's why probably nobody's touching them. But it just goes to show that Qatar is not in a dominant position like it used to be that could dictate all these terms, and everybody was listening. Its natural market is India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Japan and Korea. Well, Japan and Korea are rapidly trying to move away from the Qatari dependence, and again, they have not renewed a lot of those contracts that are expiring that they already had with Qatar. So I would just wonder what Qatar is going to do. Are they just going to build these projects, these facilities uncontracted, and then dump it onto the market when they start producing in a couple of years from now, the volumes? Or are they going to do something else? It remains to be seen. So if you guys have any good ideas about that, I'm curious to know. Maybe I don't see the full picture, but to me, it's very curious that Qatar is not offering a massive discount or something else just to move those volumes that are going to come online pretty damn quick. Now, we all know that Qatar can produce cheaper than anybody else in the world. I mean, I used to always say they can produce at zero. Maybe the answer is at a dollar or 30 cents or whatever the number is, but they produce a lot less than anybody else because the EPC costs are low. They have imported Indian labor, Bangladeshi and Nepali labor. Their cost of production is very low, and their gas is very rich. When you have a rich amount of gas, rich gas, that means you have all LPGs and NGLs, and these things can be sold at a very good market, typically linked to oil price. Now, oil price is not as high as it could be, but at the same time, they're getting an NGL bump in their revenues from those LNG plants. And that NGLs, the natural gas liquids, can actually subsidize a lot of that LNG production, thereby reducing the cost of LNG production down to very, very low, if not zero. And thus, Qatar could potentially offer amazing discount and drive everybody out of the market. They have chosen not to do that, and in fact, they've chosen not to contract at all. So I guess that's a story we'll continue to watch. Qatar is going to be getting a lot of the volumes, half the volumes at least, out of the Golden Pass project. So they have a lot of volume to sell. And if I was a buyer, I think I would be negotiating a pretty tough deal. If I'm an investor, you're running out of places to invest. There are just very few LNG projects in the US, especially, that are viable, that are going to really get off the ground, that are looking for investors. And so, if you are interested in investing, well, you know where to go. Call me up, and we'll chat. Anyway, I hope this was an interesting message. Let's continue the conversation. Never a dull moment in our industry. That's for damn sure. Thank you.